Dr. Eleanor Drage, the host of the Good Robot podcast. Join me as I ask the experts, what is good technology? Is it even possible? And how can feminism and other justice-seeking movements help us work towards it? If you want to learn more about today's topic, there's a full transcript of the episode at thegoodrobot.co.uk, along with an especially curated reading list by every guest. I love hearing from listeners, so feel free to reach out on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, or through my Cambridge email address. And don't forget to leave a review on whichever platform you're listening from. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And it's a real pleasure to have you on. Can you tell us about yourself and what brings you to the topic of feminism, gender, and technology?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm really honored. My name is Friederike von Franqué. I work as a policy advisor at Wikimedia Germany. And as you know, Wikimedia is an NGO that supports the German-speaking community dedicated to the common good. We support the people, tech, and policies that enable reliable information to be shared with the world. And therefore, I think this is deeply feminist because we are looking at the content that is not already there and that should be there.
So from your perspective then, as someone who works very closely with civil society and policy, what is good technology? Is it even possible? And how can feminist ideas help us get there? I like that you said, feminism helps us fill in the blanks, put stuff out there that's not already there and identify what's missing. Is that the secret?
I believe so. Plus, we have a longer time perspective. If you look at if you're looking at fast gains, then probably you would have other decisions than if you're looking at the longer run. And if you look at what is public good, then the goal is that a society will live in a good environment and have a good life for like ever. So every decision should be dedicated to create a good life. And that is feminist as well, I guess, for me, at least.
It definitely is. I totally agree. You do a lot of work on Wikipedia as part of the Wikimedia Foundation. And of course, Wikipedia is a great source of data, but it's not perfect. And as I said before when we were speaking, I'm working with this comedian and TV presenter, Sandy Toksvig, on a women's Wikipedia that is built by and for women. Saying that, I use Wikipedia all the time. And I think it's an incredible bit of crowdsourced information. So apparently, you said that recently it's had a huge uptake in data. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. The uptake is based on Wikidata. I won't say recently, but it is gaining in traction. So you can see, we have right now over 150 million data entries into Wikidata. This is because you can share your databases, like a good library, for example, or like the European Union that had combined two databases for their funding basis. Like they put in the numbers and the recipients, and Wikidata had the country and the geolocation in your language. And that was hilarious. So everybody had only to do half of it. And so it all came together.
What kind of data did you see on there? What news stories and content really stood out to you?
Yeah, what stood out is, for example, Frankfurt am Main, which had a huge Jewish community before World War II, is adding Shoah repositories and adding some of Nazi victims' databases to Wikidata. So we kind of bring back the memories of these forgotten people with their names and their fates, and this really rang a bell with me. And what is the motivation of an institution that is adding its database to Wikidata is that they want to make the work easier, and they want to find doublets. And together it can become beautiful because you will have, for example, a writers database, and then you have the Shoah reminiscence database, and then you can put them together, and then you have the picture is more colorful then of this specific person.
Incredible. Well, thanks so much for telling us that, and I will investigate. So we've talked about the content, but you're an expert really in the behind the scenes stuff. So where is Wikimedia hosted? Where can we find the compute power, the data centers? Where are they?
Yeah, well, Wikipedia is been accessed by over 1 million people worldwide every day. Every site we even have noise music to signify the pings that every edit is adding to the Wikipedia. So we need databases that can manage workloads, and we are with hyperscalers. We are mostly with certain American hyperscalers that are promising to be very environmentally friendly, because we are all having this common good perspective. But still, the main load is in the United States, and we have mirror servers in the different continents to have less ping time for the editors, make the work easier.
Less ping time,
yeah,
did you
less
say?
time. That if you make an edit, you want to see what you write, and if this takes too long, then people get disturbed, and also changes. You want to see it at once, and if you have too much latency, that can be annoying in the day-to-day work. Therefore, we have servers in different continents to ease the workload for the servers and to make it faster for the editors and for the volunteers.
Yeah, that makes sense. You want to see your edits immediately. It must be really difficult then to kind of balance the desire to have environmentally friendly data sets with the need for commercially available spaces and data centers that are really effective and cheap. Is that an ongoing negotiation that you face at Wikimedia?
Yes, we have this ongoing conversation. And of course, we want to ease the environmental footprint from Wikipedia as much as possible. I think it is both. It is a legacy from the past, even dreamed about becoming the size we have now. So hyperscalers were convenient to upscale little by little, and they also could promise the stability that we needed. But we are exploring other opportunities. Let's say the server management is done by the Wikimedia Foundation in San Francisco. And with Wiki, you are talking to Wikimedia Germany, which is one of the many outlets that Wikipedia, the Wiki movement, has. In Germany, we are busy with Wikidata, so that's our specialty. That's why we are so big. But we are not really meddling with where do your servers be, where are your servers, and what you do with your servers. However, as we are a democratic movement, this perspective is part of our discussions. But what can you do? We are already at a hyperscaler that has the most promising environmentally footprint. We cannot promise that they are. It's not a price question. You mentioned price. We say, okay, then we are willing to pay more because we have a global conscience. I don't know what we are going to do in the future. But what can we contribute to the idea of commons data centers? We can contribute our learnings from decentralized collaboration. And we believe in collaboration. We think that makes the world a better place. So you don't probably need to have huge data centers. They have their advantages, but you can do other things with decentralized data centers. We know about transparency, monitoring, and oversight. We think that this is necessary. Every edit in Wikipedia is being logged, and we can say that this is is a cornerstone why Wikipedia works. If we are thinking about a commons-oriented data center management, then I guess that transparency, monitoring and oversight is very important. It's not control. It's just that you trust the system and the processes, and that you can align the processes and make them better, because everyone can look into them, and maybe someone has an idea and says, oh yeah, why aren't you doing this and that in that way, and then it makes it that makes it better. So that's what the Wikipedia model, let's say, can contribute to this discussion.
Based on what you've just said, then, a good data center seems to me to be one that is decided on based on collaboration and participatory design and having these ongoing conversations. But I think, more tangibly, what is a good data center? And equally, what makes a bad one?
I think a good data center has to fulfill certain values. And that doesn't mean that you don't have to make money out of it, because if you don't make money, probably your service will not be sustainable. But how you make that money is a different question. Then you should employ the best environmentally friendly technique you can have. You should try to use recyclable material, of course, have good working conditions, etc., etc. And again, to control this and to have a oversight about how it is done, then it would be good if you would have external people looking into it, like everyday people. I don't know about the content, though. The content is often the secret of the clients. I would wish that a data center monitoring can help with getting rid of illegal content. I don't think that the system will change this aspect.
I first got in touch with you because I went to a panel discussion you were on at Republica in Berlin on whether data centers could be decentralized, whether they could be run by municipalities instead of by conglomerates. And this idea, I think, has been, when I wrote an article in The Guardian a while ago about frugal tech, and one of the things people were most interested in is how how brilliant and surprising the possibility of being able to manage your own data centers locally is. So tell us about that, because I think it seems to me quite a European idea.
Really?
In the UK, I think we're not so, we're a bit more top down, or we're less involved in deliberative democracy. We often don't understand what we vote for. We're less sort of in touch with politics and these local decisions. So, well, maybe this is really unfair, and if you're listening, write in and complain. But yeah, tell us what you think about these data centers.
Well, the reality is that the state already has half of the decentralized data centers, just because they were growing them. To start with the universities, for example, they have a great knowledge with high performance data centers. But also little like state institutions, they needed to store their data somewhere. And so they did in the next door. And so the small things then became bigger and still owned, and they found out that they don't really have oversight over it. And then you have the hyperscalers serving more or less the commercial area, and are targeting the public sphere to let's move your stuff over to us and we are much safer. And I would agree. If you don't have a good management of your data center, then the security is bad. The recycling and the modernization of these data centers are not very good unless you don't have a focus on that. But my model was Stockholm. Stockholm builds the optic fiber cables in the city. And they say, we want to have glass fibers everywhere, even in the most far away home that wouldn't be served by a commercial provider. And they did. And then they rented out the infrastructure to commercial vendors. And the result is that Stockholm has great and fast internet everywhere. And it's very cheap because there the market really functions. And this is not the case in so many other areas. So I would wish for having the same system in maybe on some data centers. I don't believe in the state doing commercial business. That's not the core issue of the state. And sometimes they are quite bad at it. But if you can manage to have the criteria that we just mentioned, so please have environmentally friendly aspects, please have workers' ethics, etc., etc. And then we would like you to run our data center for high security, high performance, whatever you need, because it's the public realm. We can also afford it. And then the margin is not that important. That would be really great. And I also believe that there will be commercial providers that would be willing to provide that service. Plus, we already have that in Berlin. There's a small data center provider. It's run by a community. We have a new initiative also initiated with startups and providers that want to have such a commons-oriented data center service. And I believe that there can be much, much more. And if the state would provide as the first client, like a seed funding, that would be great. And then if you have a community where you have dialogue and the client, the state as a client can say, oh, this is not really working. We would rather like, having this and that. And don't you think this would be and so you can have a conversation with your service provider and as a client. And as a client, you would also have a say in what you get. And then there would be external monitoring. So I think this whole package would be great. And hyperscalers can still exist outside or next to and parallel of this model.
Well, I'm sold. This is how you make it happen. Why didn't it turn out like this in Frankfurt, where you said there was a data center boom and loads of data centers were constructed with very little decentralized community governance that you've just described? What went wrong?
Well, it's also a development issue. I mean, who can have oversight? This is the local community that can have monitoring of that. And they didn't. They didn't all of a sudden, within 8 years, much, much more data centers have been built. Plus, all data centers have been made bigger. So the municipality learned about this because citizens complained about the huge blocks that were growing in their backyard. And so the municipality said, yeah, but these are in general commercial outfits. We allow them to be built in the backyard and in this area. This is the zone that we allowed this for. So they came up with another idea of, okay, data centers are a special commercial service and we have a special law and the data center community complains. So why? And et cetera, et cetera. So this all takes time and the necessity has to be seen. Plus, why should the municipality have an oversight about a commercial service? So these are all new ideas and that's what happened. But in Frankfurt, it's a small city. It's not even 1 million citizens. And in this city, the European internet node is located and tons of data centers with, I don't know how many terabyte we are serving. So Frankfurt is a good example of how things can go wrong, probably, or how things can develop, or that there is even an end to growth because there is no electricity left, not enough water left, and not enough space. Where there may be some more space, but the city still wants to have car repair shops, for example, and they also need space. So.
And may this be a lesson to, the UK, which has grand plans under Keir Starmer to build way more data centers. We have 500 data centers in the UK currently, and there are 5,000 in the US. But, a data center can get lost in the US, in the outback, in a way that it can't in the UK. So one of the images or analogies you've used to describe data centers, this glut, this internet knot that you describe in Frankfurt is gambling. That data centers should need to abide by stipends, abide by stipulations in order to not proliferate in the same way they have in Frankfurt. Can you tell us about that analogy? What have data centers got in common with gambling?
With gambling?
This is what you said last time. There was an analogy to gambling, or maybe to casinos, or I don't know. They should need to abide by stipulations.
I think I remember. Well, if you look at the UK has a good starting point because you have the sea and you have green energy. You can put data centers to a windmill, for example. London should be careful with having too many data centers, and cities that are developing new housing should integrate data centers because they can use the warmth that you would need. In Frankfurt, the gamble is that more AI will be used worldwide and that more data centers and data capacity will be needed. Let's say statistics are pointing in that direction, but I'm not so sure. If the AI boom is dwindling, then you would need less data center capacities. And by coincidence, the AI companies are also selling data centers and hyperscaler capacity and making lots of money out of the data centers, less so with their AI models. So how come? So I have the feeling that we have a combination and a very good PR effort also that somebody that wants to sell us Gen AI everywhere is rather looking at the data center money that they are making out of it. So that is exaggerated my theory on it. And I would be happy if the Gen AI hype would be less and systemic and symbolic AI hype would be more substantial, and that people are looking into what they really need. And then probably they would need less data center power, but still they would need data center power. So I think that UK will see lots more data centers, but it's not that UK will lose out in the future because they have not enough data centers. I don't believe in that.
And symbolic AI, just so that people know the difference between that and generative AI. Can you give us some examples?
Yes, we have Wikidata, for example, and if you say orange, this could mean the color, the company, or something else. You are not sure. So in a symbolic database, you would have a number that is specifying what you mean. So if you just point in the number, then the machine will know the color is meant. And then you will have like a combination between orange equals color equals whatever you need, right? So if you ask then questions, you would also always get the same result. If you ask questions like what colors in the world are there, then your data set will give you these examples. If you have the Gen AI, then the mechanism of Gen AI is I read every book I can get my hands on or my machine eyes on and find the words or the combination of letters equaling orange. And then I give you every result with orange I have, which also could be a result with a company based on probabilities that what your question means. And because the probability changes through time, you will never get the same results, but you will get a plausible result probably out of it. So the best Gen AI is working with the most data because then your statistics become better, but you need to update your data all the time. And this is like, a huge shotgun that is trying to scramble in everything. And I believe that more, let's say, more chirurgic aspects of symbolic AI will serve the same question, but way better because you always get the same results, which is in certain circumstances the thing you need in the most circumstances. And in some circumstances, you need Gen AI because you can get a better speech from it, for example.
Thank you. That was a really thorough, brilliant description, much better than I could do. What can other countries like the UK or, that are thinking of plowing our way into building more data centers learn from Frankfurt? And, what would you say to Keir Starmer to encourage him to get to get it right.
Yeah.
When, mapping out how to build these huge energy intensive blocks of concrete.
Yeah. That's what you said. You should make a map, whole of Britain map, and find out what data centers already exist and where hyperscalers or where data centers want to be built. Then you should ask them to locate their business headquarter in your country so that you get the money from it, at least so that they pay taxes. You should be aware that there will not be much staff. I think the DKIX is working with 20 people, so it's not really a lot of staff. You should maybe combine it with recycling companies, which can do the recycling of all the server racks, etc. And you should be aware that there will be loads of trucks coming in and out relatively often. You should ask for the emergency engines that are getting tested every month once, normally with fossil fuel, that they be replaced by something else. And you should try to, as I said, locate them in areas where a little warmth is needed or a little cold is needed, because you can change that energy to cold as well. For example, for vegetable markets that need cold storage, and also for a little warmth, that's equally possible. And you should ask them to finance that infrastructure that is needed to transport the warmth or the cold to different places, because you're all profiting from it. Yeah, and that is basically it. Probably, I mean, for your citizens, you need greenery outside. And you need maybe also a dialogue. It's very annoying if people have to call in, I don't know, Texas, and then a machine is answering you, please call again in half an hour, and then you get shit answers. So that would be also quite important, I guess.
That's terrific. Thank you so much, Friederike, for coming on and giving us all this amazing information that people don't yet have access to. Much appreciated.
Very welcome.
This episode was made possible thanks to Stiftung McCartell and the Lieberholm Trust. It was written and produced by me, Dr. Eleanor Drage, and the editor of this week's episode is credited in the episode's description. Thanks for listening.